Kajing bhah ya ki commercial LPG shabarok ki jila kinthop ya ka Meghalaya kalakiyo siya ka 90% na ka bhah bajuay ong ka Director ka Tanat Food Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs ka Saloni Verma ha ka laipo trik leber ha ba benrap bagi domestic LPG kinyai ne kumjuh wat ha pedeng ka jingyang lan ha ki jaka sam LPG. Katba ka jinga keren ka dangai beteng berkasorkar India kala shim jingken ya ka jinglong jingman haki weipat ki jela kila pun kiyo ya ka jingpen biang ki commercial LPG. Kat haduk menta ka jingbha ya ki commercial LPG kala kiyo siya ka 90% na ka baju ay siya baro ki jela ong ka Verma haba keren siya kilat tay kubor. Mentang ila yo ya kabah 90% bat ka jinglong jingman kan sakha biang shu na ka bentai kitu ki bapenya ya ki kam jungok kai ki dhaba ki try restaurant bat hotel kala ong haba benram baka sorkar India kala penjari 40% ka jing pendunai ki commercial LPG na du ka khat wei trik leber namar ka jinga kan at ha Middle East kala penthot ha ka baya day bat ka jing shalan. Ka jingdon kam ka Meghalaya ka longkumba 1000 ki commercial ha ka shisngi da 40% ka jingwan poi cylinder kala hiar syak arspa hadu arspa san po shisngi bat ka bawanra ka jingduna na ka bentai ki hotel dhaba bat ki restaurant ki hospital bat ki jaka puli puthi ki dangai beteng banyo e ka jingbha ka bapura nadu ka arpasan hadu arpanyo tarik leber ka jingwan poi ki LPG manla kasngi kala kiyo siya ka laispa hadu laispa sanpo katba kala ong baka jingpenyo LPG hagi ki laisngi kala kenjo siya ka sauspa namar ka jingtre kam jo ka 90% ka jingpen kiyo yak bha. Haka weipat kaliang ka director ka pentip bakam shimla dan satya ka nuo kuno ka jingthod haka baya day ber ka jingpen poi yaki domestic LPG. Hashwa kini ki jing ka jingpen poi ki domestic LPG kalong hapdeng Henry Wajar hadu Henyo Wajar ki cylinder bat hadien ka khat wei trik leber ka jela klala ban ai hapdeng sana jar hadu Henyo Wajar man kasngi. Ka director kala ong ru baka jingeng lan jung ki brio ha ki jaka sam gas ka day namar ka jingdan kamban le ka KYC na ka benta ka deduplication exercise certificate ka badan kami ki bale connection thamai kata ka sen jam bala shim de ki company ban khanglan ya ka jing thiet ban penlong ye ki LPG hapadeng ka arpusan bat arpnyo trik leber ka jela kala sam hadu arpu 4000 kan type south li ki domestic cylinder ka Verma kala kinturu ikilat pathai kubor ki patba bakin kiar ban pen priang ki kubor ki bam shisha ki bala ban pen khuslai bat pen klumar jingmot ki patba ngila thong ya ka district LPG monitoring committee state level LPG monitoring committee bat kini kila khmi bania bha ya ka jinglong jingman baro penrap ka director.
So simply put, as per Government of India's directives from 11th March 2026, there has been a certain cap on commercial LPG supply. So I would like to make it clear that as for domestic LPG, which is household LPG consumption, there is no such cap from the Government of India. As such, the efforts are by the state government, central government and the oil marketing companies to ensure that domestic LPG supply is not disrupted at all. So in that light, I'd like to share just some figures so that it's clear to everybody. Pre-crisis, which is before 11th March 2026, yes, 2026, before crisis, our average daily LPG cylinder requirement, domestic, I'm only talking about domestic, was around 6,000 to 7,000 cylinders daily, right? And after the crisis began, 11th March onwards, officially as we call it, we can see as per the numbers that are there with us that on an average 5,000 to 7,000 cylinders are being delivered daily to domestic LPG consumers. Having said that, yes, we are aware that sometimes there are lines in front of depots and distributor shops, but there are two main reasons for that, and I would like to make everybody aware of what these reasons are. The first reason is that from the oil marketing companies, there is something called a DAC that needs to be issued for anybody which wants a domestic LPG connection. You apply for it online. But to get this DAC, you need to have your EKYC done. So unfortunately in our state, and this directive has been there from a long time. It's not like in the crisis situation suddenly this was implemented, this EKYC mandation. But now that there's a crisis, so oil marketing companies are also, they were already, but now they are also implementing it mandatorily, so that there is no black marketing, no hoarding, no pilferage. Since EKYC is mandatory now for domestic LPG consumers, that is why you see these lines, because people have been rushing to these distributor shops with their documents to do EKYC and all those things. So as a result, there have been lines at these shops. But as per the data we have collated it with our inspectors of supply, with our contacts in the OMC. There is no disruption in the domestic LPG supply. That's point number one. Point number two, coming to commercial LPG. So the commercial LPG requirement of our state before crisis was around 1,000 cylinders per day. Now what the government of India had to do, because given that the Middle East war-like situation which was happening, and there was a certain disruption in supply, since at that time India was getting its imports of LPG from the Middle East. So seeing that, the government of India imposed a cap for all states, that all states will only get 20% of their commercial LPG allocation daily. What that means is, out of 1,000, which is Meghalaya's daily commercial need, we were getting 200 cylinders. Now please appreciate that in this 1,000, you have hospitals, you have educational institutions, and you have our hotels and dhabas mainly, right? As per Government of India, it was mandatory that hospitals and educational institutions still get their 100%, right? So within now this commercial LPG, let's say you need 1,000 every day, but you're getting only 200 cylinders every day. Those 200 also, first the priority is to hospitals and educational institutions. As a result, there was definitely a shortage for restaurants and dhaba owners, and that is something that the government is cognizant of. Unfortunately, this was a pan-India situation. However, through routine deliberations, be it at the highest levels of the Honorable Chief Minister, the Honorable Minister, and be it at our level, let's say at the Commissioner Secretary level, the Director level, we had constantly been requesting the Government of India to please understand that Meghalaya has a special scenario where in commercial we don't have, let's say, heavy industries, etc. We just have these, the tourism sector, the hospitality sector really needs these LPG. So as a result of continuous back and forth, continuous negotiation, and the Government of India has also been taking stock of other states, they have been increasing the commercial LPG supply. So as of today, the commercial LPG allocation is now enhanced to 70% of regular quota for all states. Right, and out of, again, now that we are entitled to 70%, definitely the situation will get better for our tourism operators, for our restaurants and dhaba owners, for our hotels. So for commercial, I can tell you from 11th March onwards, I have the figures, we were getting an average of 200 to 250 cylinders per day. Obviously that is less, and indeed there was hence a shortage to our tourism industry stakeholders. But in the last few days, from 25th to 27th March, we have been getting, let's say, 300 to 350 cylinders. And right now, I don't have the figure for 28th and 29th March and 30th March. Those 3 days, I don't have it yet, because the OMC is still retrieving them, and they will supply it to us, and we will issue a press release with that updated figure. But for the past 3 days, I am being told that around 400 cylinders per day Meghalaya has received. So this is an ongoing situation. We are hoping that with time, this allocation, now that letter has also come for 70%, right? It takes 2-3 days for these letters to be effective. So it will go up. I would just like to request through your medium to everybody to please refrain from panicking, to please refrain from spreading misinformation, to please refrain from using sensationalist sort of headlines, because with that it is our people who suffer, and we don't want anybody to suffer. The state government under the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister is doing its absolute best. We have constituted a district LPG monitoring committee, state level LPG monitoring committee, and these are actively taking stock of any situation. Whenever we get the news that, at this depot, let's say at Jail Road, there was this news article, we immediately send somebody. Somebody personally told us that at Laban there is at last stop there is a depot where there is long queue. We immediately told our inspectors to go and investigate. And based on that, we are trying our absolute best. We acknowledge that there is definitely, it's not optimal, things are definitely constrained, but we are doing the best that we can, and we are functioning under guidelines of the Government of India and constantly negotiating with them to give better to us. As per my understanding, and this is the department's understanding, out of the 1,000 commercial cylinders that we get, around 760, 750 are used just for East Khasi Hills. And this is the great chunk of tourism and hospitality and so on and so forth. And like I already mentioned, given that East Khasi Hills only needs 750, as a state we've been getting 300 and 400. So I'm sure that there are adverse impacts of this. Having said that, in our conversation with IOCL and with OMCs, we've been told that they are trying their best to manage demands, in the sense, coordinating with education institutions and hospitals to ensure that yours is 100%, but still, let's see how much we can prioritize our tourism also. So it's a fine line, it's a developing situation, it's a tightrope. We have not personally been apprised of these shutdowns, so we don't have that data yet to answer you very clearly. But rest assured that we are definitely doing our 100% to ensure that from what we have, please appreciate this is a developing situation. So from what we have, we are trying our best to give as much as we can to as many. Indeed, in commercial LPG, there is a shortage. We can't deny that, we cannot say that that's not happening, that is true. As for what the specific instance you are claiming, unfortunately, I do not have any information of this. So I would request you, in fact, this very customer who has had to pay this exorbitant price, I just mentioned two numbers. Immediately, if they can just call us, give us some details, who is the distributor who is charging them this much money, what date, then we can look into it. But without details, I'm sorry, I cannot comment. Impact as such, not really, because eventually this situation, this crisis is about getting these refills, right? Like every time your LPG cylinder runs low, you need to get a refill. So that scheme has definitely helped in increasing the penetration of LPG in our state. But as such, there's no negative or any such impact of that scheme. That has ensured people have clean cooking fuel now. And now, before this crisis, there was no problem. Now this problem is occurring because of the crisis. So I think. Okay, so unfortunately, right now I have the statewide data. I can just tell you that as a state, domestically, we were entitled to, not entitled to, our requirement was 7,000 cylinders on hand. So let's do one thing, because see, right now, whatever was the entitlement in the normal time, unfortunately, that is not applicable now. And this is unfortunately true for the entire country. As of now, the directive is that you can refill every 45 days now. So before 45 days lapse, you are not entitled to a LPG cylinder refill. So let's do one thing. I get your point, so that for wider dissemination, people can be clear of entitlement. After this press conference, let me compile that exactly, and we can give it to you guys for further. That would be better. I don't want to make any statement which is not factual.